All right, guys, we're going to talk about voice actors again and whether or not you have to stay in your own lane to play a character in video games, animation, and other assorted media. This conversation is coming up again because it turns out that the voice actress of Diana in Pragmata is a black woman.
So?
And that was my attitude too. Like, I do not care, but the conversation is coming up because for the last 5 or 6 years now, if you were playing outside of your lane, if you're playing outside of your race or gender or sexual identity, that was a no-no. In fact, a lot of the cast of Avatar got replaced because they weren't diverse enough for those characters.
They found a blind Asian woman to play Toph.
Yes, they did. It was a very... We'll talk about that. We'll talk about how ProZD kind of regrets pushing for... basically pushing for white people to get out of the way for a lot of these roles that are non-white characters, thinking it was going to get him more roles, but he's now complaining that he's not getting enough roles because they just look at him and they're like, yeah, you're gonna have to play an Asian because you're Asian. That's just that's the way it works, right?
Yeah, and that's what you asked for. But most of us who grew up, in the 80s and 90s and 2000s, or even, we're just like, whoever was the best fit for the role should have got the role. It didn't matter to us. Like, you didn't know who did the voice at half the time, and you didn't care.
Yeah, I mean, and I bring this up all the time when people talk about, staying in your lane. We had 2 blonde-haired, blue-eyed white girls in the 80s, just off the top of my head, that were voiced by black actresses.
And nobody cared.
Nobody cared. Rainbow Bright and Penny Gadget were both voiced by black actresses. Penny Gadget, voiced by Cree Summer, who is one of the best voice actors of like our generation. I mean, she's done like everything. But yeah, we didn't care. I mean, back then we didn't have access to the internet, obviously, and so people weren't like Googling who was playing the parts or whatever. But yeah, we never really thought much about it. And then 2020 happened, and then all of a sudden that's all people started focusing on.
What are they gonna do? Because they've got a shit ton of girls voicing little boy characters.
That is true. People are pointing that out. They're like, well, hey, if we're gonna be that way, then literally every white person in anime needs to stop dubbing, like now. And they're gonna get their wish because in Japan, they're already experimenting with AI to use the original voice actor's voice, but translate it into English. It's not going very well, but it'll get better. So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. Get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello, I voiced the little redhead avatar in the corner.
Yeah, but she's actually a burly black man.
You should see the size of my balls. Anyway.
That would be the first YouTuber. All right, so let's talk about Pragmata. So yeah, I don't care. I mean, people are like, why did you do videos on this? I'm like, because I don't care. But it's all people cared about for years. Like, well, what's the voice actor look like?
Most people don't give a shit. That's how it should be. It should be blind casting. There was a casting agent that they wouldn't even look at the people. They would have their back to them. You come in.
She got in trouble for that.
Yes, yeah. She got in trouble because she was like basing it on who had the right voice for the character, not by what you look like, because it doesn't matter. You're not on camera. And some of these people, like the guy complaining, have faces for radio. So you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I know, right? So yeah, I mean, it's all like I thought. I don't know. I mean, it definitely has cooled off a little bit, but I know for about 2 years in animation, there was this trend where people were getting gone because we had, white people voicing, minority characters or whatever. And I get if you wanted to step down voluntarily, that's a you thing, and that's fine. You're allowed to do whatever you want. If you don't feel right doing it, that's fine. But I know people were trying to fight with me. They were talking about Mike Henry, who was doing Cleveland. And I'm like, he did Cleveland for 20 years.
Yeah.
And he stepped aside, quote unquote. And then they brought a sound-alike in from like YouTube. It just happened to be a black guy. And they brought the sound-alike in. I'm like, they're like, oh, he felt bad about it. I'm like, no, he didn't. It's because that stupid Apu documentary. Once that Apu documentary came out and then 2020 happened, all of a sudden you were no longer allowed to, well, especially white folks, you weren't allowed to voice non-white characters, but then it actually boomeranged back on a lot of people, and they're like, you know what? Just to play it safe, yeah, if you're not actually blind, you can't play a blind character. If you're not actually gay, you can't play a gay character.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I'm just like, I have to laugh though, because the last 10 years have been insane. We got to a place where you have people actively arguing that math is racist.
Yeah,
You know, this is a level of nuttery. Not to be compared with my nuts. The level of nuttery that we have out there.
Very large nuts that I've seen up close and personal. Anyway, yeah, so yeah, this is why we didn't do that's why we didn't do a video on. And it's so weird because, you know, all these people are waiting to pounce. I think they're looking for more. I mean, I'm not saying people aren't upset about it, but the game is good. People enjoy the game. It's selling incredibly well. It sold like 1 million copies in 2 days. For a while there, it's like they're always looking for a gotcha, right? So what they were doing at first, the far left activists who are always looking for things to be outraged, but they're outraged that the right's not more outraged. Does that make sense?
They're mad that people like us
that you're not more mad.
Because we're like, we grew up at a time where it didn't matter. And honestly, it shouldn't matter. It's absolutely stupid. We've called this out repeatedly. So they're mad that we're not mad.
So they were going around, it was one of the subreddits, and they were like, oh, look, Kotaku in action.
That's funny.
Like one subreddit, one person said one thing on a subreddit, and there were like 3 comments like, yeah, that's right. They're all a bunch of bigot racists. They're going to start boycotting this game. But they were mad before because the game showed a male character having fatherly feelings for this little girl robot, and then they tried to make that weird.
Yeah, then they were mad that people were like, oh, you know, I might actually want to have kids after playing this game because, you know, I think I'd like to be a parent. Oh, my God. They had meltdowns about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
How dare you promote a family?
So this is coming from Steam, actually. They said, why is Diana voiced by a black woman? I don't know.
Who cares?
She did a good job. I couldn't even tell you. I mean, I was listening to the dialogue and I'm like, it sounds like it's always weird when you have adults doing kid voices. Like, I think she did a good job, but it's always weird when you have adults do kid voices because it never sounds quite like
I know. You make fun of Anya and
I do.
Spy X Family.
I
do. You said she's special needs.
She sounds special. It just sounds like like an adult. It does. It's like, you know, and then my mommy and my daddy and my dog. That's my Anya. Like, I don't know what the hell she's talking about half the time. And then she's like, blah, 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 blah. But no, so it's just like I listen to this and it's weird. And I always hated that in cartoons. That's one of the things that pulled me out. Like I love Gravity Falls overall, but Dipper sounds like he's 40. He's supposed to be. Yeah. I know he's supposed to be 12, right? At least
I liked Gravity Falls. A lot of people piss on it.
Oh no, I like Gravity Falls. I love Gravity Falls, but like I'm just saying, like it was weird to have. It's weird to have adults voice kids, but she actually does a good job. But she sounds like a definitely like an anime character, right? But it is a Capcom game. But yeah, so I'm more surprised that she's British. She's like a white presenting girl robot is voiced by Grace. Is it Grace Safe? A British voice actress. Are we going to have black character voiced by a white person in the Big 2-6? Highly doubt it. That seems racist. They lock this topic because it's bait. But I get it because it's become such a big effing deal over the last couple of years that you could only play in, you know, characters in your lane.
It was ridiculous. The whole thing's always been ridiculous since day one. They were bad, and it was because a bunch of people, well, not a bunch, a couple people, that one guy included, were thinking that if they blocked out all the white people, that they would suddenly get more roles, and they found out that is not the case. It doesn't matter if you're just a good job and you're a good person for the character, you're a good fit, you should get the job. It doesn't matter how you identify, what color you are. Nobody cares. Just, are you good for the part?
So yeah, let's talk about the Aang movie, the Last Airbender movie that got leaked, and apparently the guy who leaked it's from Singapore, and they think he's going to go to prison or something. But so people were not happy they replaced the voice actors, but then you weren't allowed to criticize it because they came out and said, the casting director came out and said why they did it. They said, since the original show was released, there's been more emphasis in voice acting to match actors' ethnic, racial background to the characters they're portraying. It's a fictional world, but there are cultural influences for each nation and kingdom, and we wanted to explore the talent from those groups.
This is stupid. This is called, you're trying to get canceled, but what you did was you put it out there and people were criticizing the voice acting.
Yeah, and to the place where, like you said, the actress who plays Toph is actually a blind Asian woman, because we can't play outside of our race at all. And
it's really going to be hard to convince people you're blind when you're not, if you're just doing voice acting.
So
I'm being sarcastic. Honestly.
Yeah, I know. But I'm like, so that was the one criticism that people had about the movie, which you can watch for free online because it's all over the damn place now. Good job, Paramount. But people were mad it wasn't going to be released in theaters. But then they heard it, and the animation is great. The animation is really good. But they're like, yeah, these aren't the right voices. Like these don't sound like these characters, even though they're supposed to be a few years older. It doesn't sound right. Something's wrong.
Yeah, because they weren't cast by who was the best person for the role.
Right.
They were cast by, you have like the exact same ethnicity and orientation and gender as the character?
Okay, so this character has a superfluous nipple. So are you a 3-nippled person? Do you understand what they go through? Because I really need to hear that in your voice acting.
I call bullshit on all of this, because I guarantee you not any one of those actors are benders.
No, right? Can you actually bend fire?
I mean, like, are you a firebender? Are you an airbender? Well, then fuck you. You can't play this role.
I know, it's like, well,
so they're all fakes. They all should be fired. Because that's one of their big character points, is that they're benders. And if you can't actually, be a waterbender, firebender, airbender, earthbender, then why the hell are you even there?
Can be a gender bender if the paycheck's right.
Right?
That's geeky. I pay her big bucks to play this character. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Lou. I'm sorry, Lou. You do a great job. You really do.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, I mean, this whole thing is just, it's weird. And, it started with, I can't remember her name, from Big Mouth. What's her name? She played, Marcel the Shell. I fucking care. Anyway, she was the one, Jane Slate, was that who? Yeah. So she stepped down voluntarily after the Apu thing, after the 2020 thing. And then everybody else was kind of expected to just
it's like, if you want to step down, that's your choice, but you shouldn't.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Does it. For people that, that are maybe not as good. Some of them may be, better, and they just didn't have a chance before. But some people are just going to get roles that they didn't probably deserve just because, hey, I'm the right ethnicity or gender or sexual orientation, because clearly only, a redheaded, blue-eyed, black woman in a wheelchair can play this character.
And so there's so many of them in voice acting, by the way. Right? I mean, you start narrowing it down, it's kind of crazy. We told this story before, but we were actually looking at doing it was a Shadowbinders pilot years ago. Mm-hmm. And we had some voice actors to listen to, and it was a blind casting, basically. Yep. Here's the clips. Who do you think would be Crimson Wren? And the guy who freaking just absolutely nailed it turned out to be a black dude. Yeah. It's fine.
But he was perfect.
He was great. He was fantastic. I'm like, that's it. We both looked at each other and were like, that's the guy. If we're going to do this, that's the guy. And I was like, oh, that's not what I expected. And then we just moved on. Because it was like, it doesn't really matter.
We would have still hired him. We just didn't do it for other reasons. But if we were going to do it, we would have hired him because,
story.
Yeah, because he was perfect. And it didn't matter. We just listened to voices. We didn't even look at who they were. And because that's what you want. I'm not going to let's go find this exact character, the exact person. Because, it could sound like a little pipsqueak for all we know.
There was, I think she was the fox, I want to say, and she was a woman, Asian woman, and she actually was for colorblind casting. And, but I think she was with Fox, and she was like, I basically turn around when people do the voice, and I want to hear that character. I don't care what they look like. You don't want to be
swayed by what you look like, or
right.
Because you could look at somebody and then they might be perfect, but you're too busy thinking, well, they don't look like that character, because you know what the character looks like. But that's not how you should pick.
And beyond that, it's like, what a wonderful thing for voice actors, right? You can literally be anybody. You're not limited by what you look like, how old you are, even your gender.
That's a good thing for some
skin
people.
color. Yeah, you can play any kind of character, or you could up until about 5 or 6 years ago. But what an amazing thing. In some ways, I think you're luckier than, like a face actor, because you are always going to be limited by what you look like. And we had so many people with so many iconic roles that played outside of their race, gender, sexual orientation, whatever, age. And Nancy Cartwright's like freaking 70 now, and she's playing a 3rd grade boy. I mean,
I was thinking like, Phil Lamar and stuff.
Oh, Phil Lamar, yeah. And he was one of the ones, though. He was kind of going on the thing about like, well, yeah, white folks need to step down from these roles. Or
yeah,
whatever.
I know, but he was out there playing.
But you played an Asian guy. That's one of your best roles, And I don't know. I'm hoping this dies down a little bit, but I do understand, because people are like, well, it's going to go one way only. You understand this, right? Like it's like other ethnicities can play white folks, no problem, but it's not going to work in reverse.
That's how it always goes, and it's absolute shit. But to be honest, it's not going to go any of those ways, because I think AI is going to come in and do it all anyway.
Yeah, that's the truth. But this is ProZD, and we'll talk about this a little bit. This is the guy he was a YouTuber turned voice actor, and he was having kind of a meltdown about all the white folks taking all the roles, and so he helped put targets, I think, on some people, and then he was thinking to himself that he would get more roles. Now he's like, well, now they just see me as an Asian man.
It's like, well, dumbass, what do you think was going to happen?
Yeah, so this has come from Niche Gamer. This is a couple of years ago, right? Cho allegedly was auditioning for an upcoming show and was offered only one character to read for. It was the only Asian character in the cast. He asked his manager about the other characters and was told those characters are drawn as white, so no. Oh my God. So here's his tweets. I got an audition for prominent cartoon where I was only sent the Asian character. Looking through the rest, I told my agent, hey, I'm happy to read for this. What about the others? No, they're white. To add extra insult to injury, the character I got sent was labeled Middle Eastern, Southeast, or Southeast Asian, because, that's all the same, right? You can just lump them all into one. Yeah, that's true. My agent told me this is just how some major studios are doing things now, in part
because of him.
Because of people like you. Yeah.
Well, he was whining and screaming about it. So you got what you wanted. And then, what did he say? Monkey's paw? You got what you wanted.
You got the monkey's paw. Yeah. Yeah. He said naysayers would go, oh, you don't want authentic casting? Yeah. If your entire main cast is all white and you have one token side character who can apparently be any type of Asian ever, this is not a level playing field. This is not new. For another show recently with a large cast of characters, I was only sent the audition side for the characters who exclusively speak Mandarin. I don't speak Mandarin. Neither do I. So I can't read for that role. It's demoralizing, and as much as I love voiceover, the future looks bleaker and bleaker every day. I don't know. I'm looking at his IMDb, and he seems to be getting work, right? I mean, these are all pretty recent shows. Rama, he was Moose in Rama, the new Rama, which isn't as good as the old Rama, but not because he was in it. It's just not as good. But, yeah, he's been in a lot of stuff. So I don't think it's really like, dude, I don't think it's Family Guy. He got to play the prisoner in 2 episodes. 2 episodes. A lot of them seem
like they're minor roles, personally, but
Avowed. Oh boy. Critical Role. Oh boy. Yeah. I mean, he's getting roles. Oh, he got to be a bad computer in Bat Wheels. That's pretty cool. I guess. I mean, it sounds like a fun job, but like there's so much screeching about it. And he thought he was going to get more roles. I said, to be clear, this is not my agent's decision. They've sent me plenty of white characters before and have been nothing but supportive. This is what they're told by the people in charge of casting that show. I'm telling you what's going on
because you guys screamed about it.
They're terrified now to cast anyone outside of their lane, except for the little girl and Pragmata, I guess.
The people that were screaming about it are getting bit in the ass over it. It's like, honestly, dude, even though you were kind of a dick and screamed about it, I think you should be allowed to play whatever roles you're good at.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be limited to just Asian characters, because that's stupid, which is we said this whole time. And then people were like, oh, you're racist. Like, you're not fucking racist. We're just realistic. And it absolutely was a dumb rule. And actually, I think did more to bite people in the ass than it did to help people.
Yeah, and I think especially, you brought up AI. I think especially with the advent of AI, now more than ever, you're going to have to show why human voice actors are better than the AI. So you need to be casting the right people for the right roles, always, regardless of what they look like. Mm-hmm. I'm just saying. Go wrap it up.
Yep.
Please subscribe. We'll talk later.
Bye.